Hello everyone, today I want to talk about a simple yet powerful idea, fall forwards. So often when we think of failure, we see it as the end. We treat it like a full stop. But in reality, failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has fallen many times, but they chose to fall forward. What does it mean to fall forward? It means that when you stumble, you don't give up. You don't let the fall push you backward into fear or doubt. Instead, you take that fall as a lesson, a push, a stepping stone toward where you want to be. The truth is, fear of failure kills more dreams than failure itself ever could. Too many people never even take the leap because they are scared of falling. But I say, if you must fall, let it be forward. Let it push you into new wisdom, new strength, and new opportunities. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. The world doesn't remember those who quit after the first obstacle. It remembers those who dare to rise again, stronger, wiser, and more determined. Success isn't about never failing. It's about refusing to let failure define you. It's about resilience, persistence, and courage. Falling forward means you're moving, you're learning, you're growing. So don't fear the mistakes. Don't fear the rejections. Don't fear the stumbles. Fear standing still. Fear living so safely that you never fall, and therefore never rise. Greatness does not belong to those who never fall. It belongs to those who never stop getting back up. So today, I challenge you, take the risk, step out, try again. And if you fall forwards. Failure is often painted as something final, something shameful, something that means we weren't good enough. But that's the greatest lie we've been taught. The truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It is woven into its very fabric. Every success story you've ever admired carries a hidden history of mistakes, setbacks, and disappointments. Think about it. When a child learns to walk, they don't give up the first time they fall. They stumble, they cry, they bruise their knees, but they keep trying, step after shaky step. Eventually, those falls are what strengthen their legs. Without the falling, there would be no walking. Without the mistakes, there would be no mastery. Without the failed attempts, there would be no victory. Failure is not the enemy of progress. It is the teacher of progress. It gives us feedback. It shows us where we're weak, and it challenges us to grow stronger. Yet, most people fear failure so deeply that they never even attempt the journey. They stay safe, they stay comfortable, they stay untested. But comfort never produces greatness. If you've never failed, it doesn't mean you're successful. It means you've never truly tried. And so when we shift our perspective, we begin to see failure differently. We stop seeing it as a dead end and start recognizing it as a doorway. A doorway that only opens when we dare to risk falling. Because every failure carries within it the seed of improvement, the lesson that success requires, the hidden treasure that only those who keep moving forward will ever find. When we fall, it hurts. Nobody likes the sting of defeat, the embarrassment of being wrong, or the disappointment of missed opportunities. But hidden within every fall is a lesson. Life doesn't waste pain. It packages it with direction. That heartbreak, that rejection, that failed plan, all of it contains information about what we need to adjust, what we need to strengthen, and what we need to leave behind. The fall is not a punishment. It is preparation. It pushes us closer to growth by forcing us to confront what we often ignore in success. In winning, we celebrate. In falling, we learn. And those lessons become the stepping stones that take us higher than we could have climbed without them. Think of your mistakes as stones scattered along a river. If you stop moving because you slipped on one, you'll never cross to the other side. But if you use each mistake as a step, you move forward, even when you stumble. Falling forward is a choice. It is the decision to take what went wrong and make it useful. Instead of saying, I failed, you say, I learned. Instead of saying, I lost, you say, I gained wisdom. Falling forward is about transforming the meaning of failure. It is no longer the end of the road, but the beginning of a new one. Each mistake, each misstep, each rejection, it all becomes part of your map, guiding you toward where you're meant to go. Most people never fail because they never try. They let fear build invisible walls around their lives. They imagine everything that could go wrong and convince themselves it's safer not to act. But here's the truth. The graveyard is full of untold stories, unwritten books, unplaced songs, and unlived dreams, all buried under the weight of fear. Failure itself is not what destroys us, it is the fear of it. Because failure at least gives us feedback, fear gives us nothing but regret, and regret is heavier than failure ever will be. That's why the bold don't fear falling. They fear standing still, watching their dreams wither away because they never had the courage to chase them. Every time life knocks you down, it's not just testing your strength, it's training it. Each setback is a rehearsal, a practice round for the bigger stage ahead. Think of the greatest athletes, artists, leaders, and creators in history. None of them arrived at greatness without stumbling through rehearsals of failure. Those rehearsals built their discipline, sharpened their resilience, and carved out the character needed for their comeback. A setback is not wasted. It is a rehearsal for the moment when the curtain finally rises and you step into your breakthrough. And when that day comes, your comeback will be so strong that people will forget the falls and only see the rise. So often, we think success belongs to the perfect ones, the people who always have the right answers, the flawless plans, the smooth path. But perfection is a myth, an illusion we chase that leaves us exhausted and empty. Real success doesn't require you to be perfect. It requires you to be resilient. It demands that when you're knocked down, you rise. When you're rejected, you try again. When the door slams in your face, you don't walk away. You knock again harder, or you build a new door altogether. Resilience is the muscle that success rests on. Without it, even the most talented people fade away. History is filled with stories of individuals more gifted than their peers who disappeared because they lacked endurance. They could shine for a moment, but they could not withstand the storms. Success isn't about shining once. It's about shining again and again, even after the darkness tries to snuff you out. Perfection says, do it right or don't do it at all. Resilience says, even if I don't get it right today, I'll be back tomorrow. Perfection quits when things don't go smoothly. Resilience adjusts, learns, adapts, and presses forward. The world doesn't reward those who never make mistakes. It rewards those who refuse to stay defeated by them. And that is why resilience is greater than talent, greater than skill, greater even than opportunity. Because without resilience, none of those things can last. Success belongs not to those who never fall, but to those who rise every single time they do. When we look at champions, we often see the trophies, the applause, the spotlight, and the victories. But what we don't see are the nights of doubt, the mornings when they didn't feel like getting out of bed, the countless times they failed before they ever tasted success. Champions are not extraordinary because they never struggled. They are extraordinary because they never surrendered to the struggle. Every champion was once an ordinary person facing ordinary setbacks, but what set them apart was their decision to keep going when others stopped. They didn't allow rejection to silence them. They didn't allow defeat to define them. And they didn't allow pain to paralyze them. They kept moving forward, step after step, until eventually the world had no choice but to call them a champion. Think about it. The difference between the one who gives up and the one who rises is not strength. It's not talent. It's not even luck. It's persistence. Quitting guarantees failure, but continuing keeps the door open for breakthrough. Champions understand this truth. The moment you refuse to quit, you've already won something greater than the prize you've won over yourself. And that self, mastery, that unshakable willpower, is what makes them unstoppable. The world can knock them down, but it can't keep them down. The weight of failure can press on them, but it cannot crush them. Because a champion spirit is not measured by how high they climb when everything is easy. It's measured by how hard they fight when everything is against them. The comfort zone is a silent trap. It feels safe, it feels easy, it feels predictable. But it's the very place where dreams go to die. Inside the comfort zone, there are no risks, no challenges, no fears to face. And while that might sound peaceful, it's also where growth cannot exist. A seed never becomes a tree by staying buried in the soil. It has to break, it has to push through the dirt, it has to face the sun and the storms. In the same way, we cannot step into our purpose if we refuse to step out of our comfort. Greatness always requires discomfort. It demands early mornings, late nights, sacrifices, rejections, and 1,000 unseen efforts. It requires walking into rooms where you don't yet belong, trying things you've never done, and risking failure in front of others. That's the price of stepping beyond comfort, and it's the price every great achiever has paid. When you look closely, you'll notice that comfort and greatness never exist in the same place. The people who choose comfort rarely rise. The people who choose courage, who dare to stretch themselves, who take the leap even when the outcome is uncertain, those are the ones who grow. Because every time you step out of your comfort zone, you stretch your capacity. You become stronger, wiser, braver, and the irony is this: what feels uncomfortable today will one day become your new normal. The stage that once terrified you becomes your platform. The challenge that once seemed impossible becomes your daily routine. Growth transforms discomfort into confidence, but only if you're willing to walk through it first. Life has a strange way of testing us. It doesn't hand over success on the first attempt. It asks, how badly do you want it? And the way it asks is by knocking us down again and again. The truth is, the first attempt rarely works. The second attempt may not either. But life is watching to see whether we dare to rise, to dust ourselves off, and to try again. Those who stop after the first fall never discover how close they were to victory. But those who try again, the ones who knock one more time, push one more time, believe one more time, those are the ones life rewards. Because persistence has a power that talent can't replace, a power that luck can't imitate. Trying again means you refuse to let failure have the final word. It means you value your dream more than your comfort. It means you choose hope over despair, courage over fear. Think of the inventors, the leaders, the dreamers who changed history. Their breakthroughs didn't happen on the first attempt. Some of them tried hundreds, even thousands of times before they succeeded. Each failure could have been the end, but instead, they turned it into motivation to keep going. And eventually, life rewarded them. Because life does not reward the quitter, the one who stops at the first no. It rewards the one who shows up again. And every time you try again, you're not starting from zero. You're starting with experience, with wisdom, with resilience. Each attempt makes you sharper, stronger, more prepared for the moment when the door finally opens. Defeat by itself can feel crushing. It whispers lies, telling us we're not good enough, not capable enough, not meant to succeed. But when we choose to fall forward, defeat changes shape. It no longer becomes a dead end, it becomes a signpost. It points us toward what we need to adjust, what we need to learn, and where we need to go next. Falling forward turns the weight of defeat into the wisdom of direction. Think about it. When you fall backward, you land in the same place you started, stuck in the past, replaying mistakes over and over. But when you fall forward, you're still moving. Even in failure, you're gaining ground. That wrong turn you took, it showed you which road doesn't lead to your destination. That rejection you faced, it revealed where your strength still needs sharpening. That setback you endured, it pointed you to a better path than the one you were chasing. Defeat without direction is despair. But defeat with direction becomes growth. It becomes momentum. It becomes clarity. That's why some people collapse under failure while others rise from it. The difference is perspective. One sees failure as the end, the other sees it as guidance. Falling forward is about taking every no, every closed door, every heartbreak, every disappointment, and saying, this isn't where it ends. This is where I learn where to go next. And the more we practice falling forward, the less we fear defeat. Because defeat is no longer something that breaks us. It becomes something that builds us. It becomes a compass that keeps pointing us toward a stronger version of ourselves, a wiser path, and a future that could not have been reached without the fall. Everyone has dreams. Some whisper them quietly at night. Some shout them out loud to the world, and some bury them deep inside their hearts, afraid they'll never come true. But here's the truth, dreams don't bow to excuses. They don't come alive for the person who says, I could have but, or I would have if only. Dreams answer to courage, the courage to begin, the courage to risk failure, the courage to stand tall even when fear screams louder than faith. Excuses are easy, anyone can find them. There will always be a reason to wait, to hesitate, to delay. Too young, too old, too risky, too busy. The list never ends. But excuses don't move us forward, they keep us chained to the same place, staring at what could have been. Courage, on the other hand, doesn't remove fear, it walks with it. Courage says, I may be afraid, but I won't let fear decide my future. Dreams test us because they require more than desire. Desire may spark the fire, but courage keeps it burning. Without courage, dreams stay trapped in imagination. With courage, dreams take shape, brick by brick, action by action, fall after fall. Every bold step you take, every risk you embrace, every time you say yes, when excuses beg you to say no, you breathe life into your dream. And the remarkable thing is this, courage grows each time it's exercised. The first step may shake your legs, the first attempt may rattle your confidence, but the moment you act with courage, you prove to yourself that fear is not your master. And that proof gives you strength for the next step, and the next, and the next. Every meaningful step forward carries a price, the risk of failure, the risk of rejection, the risk of being misunderstood. That is why so many people remain stuck where they are. Because they want progress without risk, growth without discomfort, reward without challenge. But life doesn't work that way. Progress and risk are twins. You cannot have one without the other. Think about it. The first person to cross an ocean risked never seeing land again. The first person to fly risked falling from the sky. The first person to create something new risked being laughed at, criticized, or ignored. And yet, without their willingness to take those risks, the world would not have moved forward. Everything we call advancement today was once a gamble. The truth is, risk is not the enemy. It is the evidence that you are reaching beyond what you know. Risk means you are no longer playing it safe, no longer clinging to the familiar, no longer trapped by fear. Risk means you are alive, stretching, growing. Progress is never found on the side of safety. Safety may protect you, but it also limits you. Risk exposes you, but it also expands you. And here is the irony. The greatest risk of all is to take none. Because avoiding risk doesn't protect your future. It destroys it. It leaves you unchanged, unmoved, and unfulfilled. You may not fail, but you will never fly. Progress only reveals itself to the brave, to those willing to step into uncertainty, to those who can say, yes, I might fall, but if I do, I will fall forward. Rejection is one of the hardest things for us to face. It bruises the ego, it stings the heart, and it tempts us to walk away from what we truly want. But rejection is not the end. It is part of the process. Every no you hear is not a door slamming forever. It is simply a step on the journey toward the right yes. Think about it. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history were born out of rejection. Books that were denied by dozens of publishers before becoming classics. Ideas that were mocked before transforming industries. Leaders who were dismissed before changing nations. What made the difference? They understood that no was not a final verdict. It was a filter that separated the weak-hearted from the resilient, the casual dreamers from the committed builders. Every no sharpens you. It forces you to refine your approach, strengthen your skills, and clarify your purpose. Each rejection is like a weight in the gym. Painful, yes, but strengthening you for the bigger opportunities ahead. And when the right yes finally comes, you will be ready for it, because the no's prepared you in ways comfort never could. If you quit at the first no, you will never discover how close you were to a breakthrough. But if you persist, if you collect those no's and keep moving forward, you'll discover that every rejection was really a redirection, pointing you toward something greater. And the more no's you face, the more valuable that eventual yes becomes, not because it came easily, but because it was earned through persistence, endurance, and faith. Rejection alone doesn't stop greatness, quitting does. The truth is, greatness is not reserved for the most talented, the most connected, or even the most intelligent. It belongs to those who keep going long after the world has told them to stop. It belongs to the ones who face rejection after rejection, and still rise each morning with the determination to try again. Persistence is what separates dreamers from achievers. Many people dream big, but the moment rejection knocks on their door, they shrink back. They take no as proof that they are not good enough, when in reality no is simply life's way of asking, how much do you really want this? Persistence answers that question with action. Persistence says, I may be denied today, but I will return tomorrow. And if tomorrow rejects me, I will return the next day. Every act of persistence chips away at resistance. Every time you refuse to give up, you push closer to the breakthrough. Rejection is not the wall that keeps you out. It is the hammer that shapes your resilience. Those who achieve greatness understand this. Rejection isn't a stop sign. It's a training ground. And while others walk away wounded, the persistent use rejection as fuel. They let it sharpen their vision, toughen their spirit, and ignite their determination. Greatness does not happen in a single victory. It is built in the 1,000 quiet moments when persistence stood taller than rejection, when the spirit chose to press on even when the heart was tired, even when the world said no, again and again. And it is in those moments that greatness takes root, preparing for the day when persistence finally breaks through every wall that stood in its way. Fear of failure has stolen more dreams than failure itself ever could. Too many people never take the first step because they are haunted by the thought, what if I fall? But here's the truth, falling is not the tragedy. Never trying is. Failure at least gives you something to learn from, a lesson to carry, an experience to grow through. But not trying, that leaves you with nothing but regret, the heavy weight of what could have been. Think about it. When you look back years from now, will you regret the times you tried and failed, or will you regret the times you let fear keep you silent, motionless, safe but empty? The world is full of people who buried their dreams because they were too afraid to fail. They lived safe, they lived small, but they never lived full. Trying doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees possibility. And possibility is the soil where miracles grow. Failure may slow you down, but it cannot stop you unless you quit. Not trying, however, kills the dream before it even has a chance to breathe. That's why the greatest danger is not in falling. It is in never stepping forward at all. So don't fear the stumble, don't fear the scars, don't fear the times you fall short. Fear the life that passes you by while you stand still. Fear reaching the end of your journey only to realize you never even started. Be willing to risk, to leap, to chase, to fall, for in every fall there is progress, and in every try there is hope. So when you leave here today, carry this truth with you. You will fall, you will stumble. You will face rejection, disappointment, and setbacks, but each fall is not your end. It is your opportunity. Don't fall back into fear. Don't fall back into regret. Don't fall back into the comfort of excuses. Instead, fall forwards, fall into growth, fall into wisdom, fall into strength. Fall into the future that only reveals itself to those who dare to keep moving. Because greatness is not found in never falling. Greatness is found in rising every time you do, and letting each fall push you further than you've ever been before. So when life knocks you down, and it will, don't ask why me, ask what now. And the answer will always be the same. Rise up, step forward, and fall forwards into the destiny that's waiting for you.